So one thing about me, I don't tell my coworkers much about myself. They mainly just know me as that guy that went on The Price is Right that one time. My friends mainly know me as that guy that lies to his coworkers. Some of you were like, ooh, he's going to talk about me and Drew Carey. No, fuck you, misdirection. There's a group of people on the internet I think are hilarious, and they're men's rights activists. Not even halfway through the setup, already funny. And they call themselves meninists. My favorite thing about men's rights activists to call themselves meninists is that means they think the opposite of feminine is meninin. It's a whole movement that's never heard the word masculine before. It's real dumb. I was hosting a show at a comedy club a while ago, and I got off stage and I went to the bathroom. And a couple minutes later, an audience member came in, and he tried to open the stall door, and then he said, "Oops, didn't realize anyone was in there. By the way, good set tonight." So did he just look at me through the crack and then tell me he did it? He's like, thanks, I guess. He was like, yeah, there were some winners and some losers. It's not only peeping Tom guy, he's also a backhanded compliment guy. So a few minutes later, we're both washing our hands, and he turns to me and he goes, "So you comics, do you guys like to do hard drugs?" It's like, what is happening? So he goes, "Oh, it's just that back in my day, comics like Sam Kinison were all doing heroin and killing themselves. Why don't you guys do that anymore?" It's like, kill ourselves, we do sometimes. Read the news. So I realized he was the guy sitting in the front row and he was vaping so much I felt like an NBA player being introduced. And it was banana flavored. It's the grossest thing you're gonna hear tonight. I might tell a pedophile joke later, who knows. So I grew up Catholic, that's not the pedophile joke. But one cool thing about Catholicism is more than other types of Christianity, it's like a book club. Because none of us actually read the Bible, we still showed up for wine and snacks. I was a cafeteria Catholic, that's what I called myself. If you don't know the term, basically it's usually an insult. You know, you go to a cafeteria, you kind of pick and choose what food you want to get. You basically pick and choose what you want to believe based on what doesn't sound stupid. So I heard about heaven, and I was like, that's cool, I believe in that, I'm going to go there. And then I learned about hell, I was like, boo, disagree, not real. And then I learned about the priest-child sex abuse scandal, and I was like, well, I believe that one, I guess we're done here. My mom's still real involved in the church. She was asking if I could think of any things they could do to get more young adults like me to go back to Mass. And I was like, I don't know, just make it more fun, right? Have the priest be like, eat this bread, for it's my body. Drink this wine, for it's my blood. Close your eyes and feel this cold spaghetti, for it's my brains. Touch these peeled grapes, it's my bowl of eyeballs. Here at Jesus' Mystery Castle. Or just let us throw eggs to the pro-life people. That'd be fun, right? So every year in town in St. Louis, every year whenever the crime statistics come out, all the people from the police union and all these fans of the cops, they always get on Twitter and they're like, see? Look at all these unsolved murders from last year. Look at all this violence. You get rid of the cops, who's going to solve all the unsolved murders? Who's going to stop all the violence? And I'm always like, probably the same nobody that did it last year. Law enforcement's weird because it's the only profession where the argument to get paid more money is, hey, We're bad at our jobs. That's like if your boss tried to fire you and you went into the meeting, you were like, yeah, but what if the next guy takes a dump in the break room 2 times? Gotcha, bitch, give me a raise. Speaking of cops, you guys ever heard of Batman before? Some nerd shit, from a comic book, you probably never heard of it. But it's this guy, and he dresses up as a bat, and he beats up crime doers. And he's got all these nicknames. They call him Batman, they call him the Caped Crusader, they call him the Dark Knight, and they also call him the world's greatest detective. Some of you are probably thinking, hey, isn't that Sherlock Holmes? Yeah, they just kind of stole that one. But here's the thing. When it comes to being a detective, I don't think he's that good. Because if you think about it, none of the bad guys from Batman are difficult to detect. Like, what detective work are you doing, dude? You live in a city where sometimes a clown hijacks all the airwaves to say, I'm the one that did it. What's your investigation technique? Pointing at the TV? So who are the bad guys in Batman? Two-Face, you probably never heard of him. He's this guy, he's out there robbing banks and stuff, not wearing a mask. And guess what? He has a very memorable face. Okay, Batman, what are you worried about? Are you going to accidentally arrest a guy that burned the top half of his face? Also, he's the guy that bought 2 different colored suits, cut them in half, sewed them back together, mismatch, and then wears that to do crime. Also, he's the guy that if you don't know his name, if you describe him, that's his name. On top of all that, he's a recently, very famously disgraced public figure. Like, imagine if Rudy Giuliani burned exactly half of his face. That'd be the best day in the history of Twitter. And that beats Trump gets COVID. Like, that's amazing. And then a month later, you're at a bank, and he comes in to rob the place. You're like, hey, we all know who this guy is. The cops are like, you sure it wasn't a black teenager? No, it was Rudy Giuliani. Guy who had a sex toy catch on fire and burn off half his face. So who are the other villains of Batman? The Riddler. What's his superpower? He feels compelled to leave additional evidence at the scene of the crime. This whole thing. If there's a villain in Gotham called Regular Looking Steve who tries not to get caught, Batman would show up and be like, oh no, where do I start? Did you find any playing cards with a picture of the Joker? Because then I know who did it. No? Or did the culprit resemble a penguin? No, it's a regular dude? God, I hate when it's a regular dude. So much easier when it's a crocodile, man. And nobody was frozen or died of a poison kiss? Look over there, he just jumps out the window. Also, in that one movie, it took Batman over 2 hours to figure out that Bane's weakness is being punched in his breathing mask. I don't think he's that smart.